Hello all, my name is Krishnayak and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, today in this particular video, we are going to see how we can deploy machine learning pipelines on Google Kubernetes engines. We are going to use both Dockers and Kubernetes. Now, many of you were waiting for this particular video, and the whole video is basically dedicated to the blog of Moez Ali. Moez Ali, if you don't know guys, he's the author of PyCaret, which is an automated machine learning library, and he has explained this blog amazingly. You can see all the description, all the information properly documented in this. So if you really want to learn about Kubernetes, about Dockers, this is the way. Anyhow, many of you are also waiting in my playlist regarding Kubernetes. So we'll try to see how do we do the deployment of machine learning pipelines by using this Google Kubernetes engine. So I will be referring this whole blog, guys, and I'll also be taking the code that he has actually put up in the GitHub. And remember, that particular code is actually implemented with the help of PyCaret. It is pretty much amazing. The code implementation is there. I'll be able to show you. I'll just click on the GitHub link. So this is basically the code implementation. Okay. You can see over here, he has one IPYNB file. In this particular file, he'll be creating the model. Okay. So this PYNB file, he'll be creating the model. This is basically my model.pkl. You can see over here. He also has one app.py, which is basically he's using the Flask app. He has static and templates for the index.html and the result.html. And static is basically having some CSS values. Okay, and he has this gcloud ignore where he has to ignore some of the files which is not required. So all these informations are placed over here. And finally, you'll be able to see that after the deployment, the output will be something like this. This particular application is all about predicting insurance bill. So you can see over here, this is what we are going to predict the insurance bill, where we put some information with respect to each and every field, and then we click on predict, right? So we are going to implement this and after deploying into the Kubernetes. Now, first of all, if you don't know about PyCaret, guys, it is an open source low code machine learning library. I have implemented many videos and uploaded that videos in my channel. Then Google Cloud Platform, I hope everybody knows. And please, if you don't have Google Cloud Platform, just go and sign in the Google Developer Console. There you'll be getting $300 credits, guys. And that will be valid for 1 year. You can do many things, learn many things as such. Now let's see what is Kubernetes, okay? So Kubernetes is a powerful open source system developed by Google back in 2014 for managing containerized applications. When I say containerized application, I'm talking about Dockers. If you have seen my playlist about Dockers, I've explained about these all things. Now, in simple words, Kubernetes is a system for running and coordinating containerized application across a cluster of machines. That basically means, guys, in short, Kubernetes is basically used for making a scalable model. Okay, I'll be showing you how to implement it here only in this particular video. So this video is going to be a little bit longer than the usual video. I think probably more than 30 minutes. I think it'll go till. But you should understand that if you want to make your model scalable, at that time you have to use Kubernetes. Okay, so we are going to see this. Okay, so what are the features? First of all, it will help us to do the load balancing. Suppose I have 3-4 clusters, and suppose in one of the node, all the requests are going, then they can also distribute those requests from the front end to different clusters itself. Scaling, you can see that it automatically scales up or scale down by adding or removing containers when demand changes, such as peak hours, weekends, and holidays, right? So storage, keep storage consistent with multiple instances of an application. There is also functionality of self-healing and automated rollouts, right? Now, the most important thing is that why do you need Kubernetes if you have Docker? Imagine a scenario where you have to run multiple Docker containers on multiple machines to support an enterprise level ML application. So here is all the information, guys. It is an amazingly written blog. You can definitely have a look. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to come back over here and I'm just going to try to show you how we are going to deploy this particular machine learning pipelines. Okay, so let's go ahead. Now, first of all, I'm just going to show you the GitHub. So this is my GitHub. Okay, you just have to follow the same steps, and all the steps are also given in this particular blog, guys. I'm going to follow the same steps and I'm going to suggest you to do what all in the next steps. Okay, so first of all, just go to your Google console. Okay, so I'm just going to go to my Google console. So Google console, here it is, Google Cloud Console. I am going over here. So it will just ask you for the login. Make sure you have an account, guys. it'll be, you'll be able to use the 30,000 rupees or $300, not 30,000, it is somewhere around 22 to 23,000. So $300, it is completely for free. You can actually use it. Then you go over here, click over here, go to the IAM and admin. Okay, in the IAM and admin, you will be able to see something called as manage resources. Now click on the manage resources, guys. Click on the manages resources. Now here are basically all your resources that you want to create. Then this is done. Just go back. Okay, just go to your home. Inside the home, here on the top, you'll be getting some options for selecting the project. Select the project that you want to work on. Currently, I'm working on this project, so you can go over here. Okay, click on that. So once you click on that, you'll be able to see this. After this, what you have to do is that, guys, there is something called as, and remember, when we are working with Kubernetes, what all things we are actually working on. First of all, go into this. There is something called as container registry. This container registry is pretty much important, guys, because understand, when we are working with Dockers, what happens is that we usually upload the Docker images into the Docker Hub. Now, similarly, container registry is the hub in the Google Cloud Platform, okay, for the Dockers itself. Then you have something called as Kubernetes clusters, or you can also say it as Kubernetes engines. Here we are actually going to create the clusters. Okay, so here understand Kubernetes, all the clusters will be created. Here all the Docker image will be uploaded. Okay, now that is done. Now let me go to the next step. You will be able to see something called as activate cloud shell. This cloud shell is basically, it is just like a command prompt over here, like a Linux environment where you can write all your queries. Okay, so all your queries will be written over here. All the kind of operations that you want to write, it can be done over here. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to create your Docker image over here. You're going to compile your Docker image over here. Okay, after compiling the Docker image, you'll also be creating the clusters. You can create your clusters through the command prompt only. I'm going to show you all the commands that is going to be used. Apart from that, in the blog also it has been written clearly what all commands you have to use step by step. Okay, now I'm over here. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to see my ls. In my ls, you can see that there is already PyCaret deployment Google. Okay, now how did I get this? Remember, this is basically my GitHub, right? This is my GitHub for this particular file. I mean, sorry, Moiz Ali's GitHub. Okay, this is the Moiz Ali's GitHub documents. What you have to do is that just go and click on clone or download. Just copy this git command. Okay, copy this path command, not git command. Copy this path command. Once you copy this, go to the Google Cloud Platform over here. And what you have to do is that just write, okay, this has got, I'm just going to reconnect it. It got disconnected, but it's okay. It is open over here also. I can use this also. What I'm going to do is that, okay, it has got reconnected, guys. So I'm not going to edit all these things. I'm just going to make it, because any problems that I face, I probably think we should be able to solve it over here. Now what I'm going to do over here, I am going to write git clone. And I'm just going to paste that whole path of PyCaret deployment Google. Okay, remember guys, this is the GitHub repository of PyCaret, which is owned by Moiz Ali. And now what I'm going to do is that over here, I'm just going to press enter. Okay, once I press enter, you'll be able to see fatal destination path already exists and it is not an empty directory. Perfect. So if you really want to remove it, first of all, what you do is that remove this directory. So I'm going to remove this particular directory. First of all, I'm just going to write PyCaret and I'm just going to press enter. If I write ls, you can see that, guys. I'll just zoom in. If you see ls, now I don't have that particular path. Again, I'm going to clear the whole thing and then I'm going to paste the same thing or the previous command that I had actually written. So I'm going to make the git clone again of that particular repository. If you have already done it, guys, no need to do it again. Now, if I go and write ls, you'll be able to see I have something called as PyCaret deployment -Google. So inside this particular path, I will go because all my files are present inside this. And now if I do ls, you can see the whole files present over here. The most important file is the Docker file, the requirement.txt. My model file is there or not, my config file is there or not. Everything is there, guys. So now I have done the git clone. Okay, I was able to do the git clone. I'm going to clear the screen. Now, one more important thing that I want to see, if you want to really see all the files, I can also click on open editor. Now, open editor will actually open an editor on top of it. Let's see. So it is also called as a Cloud Shell editor. In that editor also, you will be able to see the whole structure of the files that is actually present. Okay, so probably this will take more time when compared to the previous one. Console, it was pretty much quick. We'll just see with respect to the Cloud Shell editor. Now this is amazing, right? Now here you have all the documents. You can see that. So this is Kubernetes Dockers. This was now I'm just going to see this PyCaret deployment Google. So here you can see all the files, right? You have your README requirement.txt. You have your config. You have a app.py. If you click on app.py, then you can see the whole code over here, right? What is the code? The whole code over here. If you want to see the config.py, you can see it over here, right? Everything you'll be able to open it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to close this. I'm going to go back to my so here I have my this one console. Right now I will start my operation. Now this particular steps are important, guys. All the steps have been mentioned in the blog, and again the link will be given in the description of Moiz Ali. So you can actually see each and everything, guys. See each and everything, you can actually check it out. Okay, so let's go to the next step. Now what is the first step? After creating the project, I have git cloned the project. The next step, that is the step third, will basically to export this particular project ID. So I'm just going to create a variable which is called as export project ID. Project, I'm just creating a global environment variable. This is just like a global environment variable, and I'm just going to give my project name to this. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to give my project name to this. So here it is. I'm setting this project ID to this particular project name. I'm going to press enter. Okay. Now the next step, what I'm going to do is that we have to quickly build the Docker image. Okay. Now before building the Docker image, guys, what we have to do is that we can write a command docker build. Okay. Remember, guys, all these steps, step by step, it is given in the complete blocks. But since you are seeing in front of me, you can also implement as I'm implementing. Okay. So it is going to take time. So please make sure that you implement this in front of me. Okay. So then I'm just going to use GCR.io. Now, if you don't know about GCR.io, guys, this is the Google repository that I have actually shown you. Container repository, Google container repository, right? Over here, you can see that it is not there. And initially, this will not also be enabled, guys. You have to enable this API for the first time, both for container repository and for the Kubernetes engine. This both will be disabled. You have to enable it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is here, I'm just going to write build gcr.io. That basically means I have to build this particular with respect to this particular container repository, and I'm going to give my path with my project ID. Okay. So this is my project ID. This project ID is, you know, that it is initialized to something else, right? So it is initialized to something else. So here, after this, after you're writing this particular command, you're just going to write the app name. In short, what kind of app name you want, or what kind of the Docker image name that you want, right? Because we are actually building an image over here, a Docker image itself. How we are building it, we are considering the container repository, Google container repository, we are giving the project ID. This is basically the path. Okay, gcr.io / the project name / my Docker image name. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to write insurance app version 1. I'm going to use the version 1, and I'm going to use a dot. Just go and check my Docker videos, guys, how I have actually built the Docker images, that you'll be able to understand. Now once I press enter, it will probably take some time for doing the building purpose also, and it will build this particular images. After building, guys, we can also write Docker images to see the images has been built or not. So probably if you remember, guys, let me just go to over here inside my Docker file. So this is basically my Docker file. And inside the Docker file, you can see that what all things he has written. Okay, Moiz has actually written. From Python 3.7, we are going to first of all create a virtual environment. Then inside this particular virtual environment, we are giving the path, the working directory, this, and then we are installing all the requirement.txt. Then we are exposing 8080 as the environment port, and then we are using this command prompt. Okay, there is also a config.py file. You can also refer that. So yes, this is what it is actually running over there, you know. And based on that, you can see that it is creating a virtual environment now. Probably it will take time for all these things, guys, because there's so many things that we need to do in this, you know. So probably the video is going to be pretty much longer. And as I said that I'm not going to edit this. Okay. So yes, all the downloading is actually happening. You'll be seeing, guys, once we will be creating this whole thing after creating clusters, and when we are pushing those things, the size is going to become bigger as we go ahead. But yes, we'll wait till this thing goes on. Then till then, I'll explore the next steps, what needs to be done, because this I'll be doing it in front of you. Let me just come back to this particular repository of this particular blog itself. You can see that after I got the Cloud Shell, I've done the git clone. After doing the git clone, I've set the project in environment variable. Then we have build the Docker images, and tag it for uploading by executing the following code. This is basically the tag, guys. V1 is basically the tag. Okay. Then you can check the available images by running this particular code. Let's see. Probably it is taking a little bit time. Once it is done, we will be able to see the Docker images. And yes, because when by default over here, if I just go in the requirement.txt, okay, PyCaret will also be there, right? And PyCaret has dependency of various things. So PyCaret is an automated library. Still, it has dependency on various things, right? So it is basically loading all those things in short. Yes. So building will for SHAP setup.py started. Everything is happening over here. Okay, till then we'll explore this. Okay, blocks. So once we have the Docker images, then we authenticate to the container repository. This is required, guys, because understand on which container we are actually going to deploy or push this Docker image. This is just like a Docker hub. Okay, that is what we are going to do. We are going to upload the container image in the container registry itself. After this, execute the following code to upload the Docker image to the Google container repository. You can see that I'm pushing it over here by using this command. Then in the step 6, we create clusters by setting these 2 lines of code. Then we will also be creating clusters, and number of nodes also we can give over here. Okay, make sure that you can give less number of codes just for practicing, guys. Don't give that much. Then finally we'll be doing the deployment of this particular application, okay, by using this command. So we'll be doing that step by step. So guys, now we were able to successfully build the image, and probably it took somewhere around 10 minutes. And it depends on your internet speed also, guys, and how much time it is actually taking to build this. It may differ from system to system. But now we are going to go to the third step, and we are going to see that whether the Docker has been created or not. So I'm just going to write Docker images. So I can see that there is a Docker image of gcr.io Kubernetes test this insurance app with tag v1 and Python Docker. So 2 Dockers has been created because this Python is basically from the virtual environment, which is actually running in which was present in our Docker file itself, right? So I'm just going to clear the screen, and we are going to go to the next step. In the next step, now what I told you that we need to basically configure this container registry, right? Now, in order to do that, I'm just going to copy and paste one command, which is gcloud, that is Google Cloud, auth configure Docker. And here we will basically write our gcr.io. This is basically the content registry name. You can see that. Apart from that, in my system, I have others like us.gcr.io, EU, this, but I'm actually going to use this. So this will get successfully registered. After this, I have to push the Docker to that particular container repository. So I'm again going to clear the screen. And for that, I'm just going to use a command which is called as docker push, which is pretty much similar to whatever we did in the Docker tutorial, gcr.io. And then I'm just going to write it as $. And this, I'm going to use my project ID. Because understand why I'm writing this command, because in the same path, my Docker image is actually present, right? So here I'm going to basically use, just a second. Yes. Here I'm going to basically use insurance-app, and the tag version is v1. So after I do this, okay, it's saying invalid format. Why? Let's see. Somewhere I think some of the problems are there. First of all, let me just go and see my Docker images. Docker image. Okay, Docker images. It should be Docker images. Okay, it is Kubernetes test. Okay, Kubernetes test project ID. Okay, insurance app version v1. Okay, so probably I'll just try to write it down again because this looks a little bit mistakes. I have made some kind of mistakes over there, so I'm just going to write Docker push gcr.io slash dollar. There was some spelling mistakes that I made. Project underscore ID, and then I'm just going to write insurance app version v1. Now it should work. So we are now pushing the Dockers into the container registry. So there was some spelling mistakes in project underscore ID. I made it dash ID. So because of that, I think there was a problem with respect to that. So this push is going to happen. How big my Docker image is, basically it is going to get pushed. And again, guys, this will also probably take some time. It will definitely take some time because those are files you need to push it, and then so basically, after this gets successfully executed, and if you refresh this, you'll be able to see the file over here. So probably we'll wait till this gets pushed. So guys, the deployment has been done. So basically we have pushed the image to the Google Container repository. So Google Container repository. Now you can see that over here we don't see any images, but as soon as I refresh, you'll be able to see one image. So insurance app is my image name that has been present over here. You can see the Docker symbol over here. The tag name is v1. Now let's move to the next step. Now the next step is basically what I'm going to do is that quickly I'm going to make some clusters so that we also have to decide the clusters in the Kubernetes engines, right? How many clusters we basically want. So for that we will be proceeding with the next step. And before proceeding to that step, guys, let us set up the zone, and for setting up the zone, we will be using this command. And first of all, I'm just going to clear it and I'm going to paste this. So here it says that gcloud config set compute slash zone is, I'm just giving it as US Central 1. Remember, guys, all the steps again are given in the blogs. Okay, you can also read them, but this is basically to set our zone. So currently I'm just selecting it as US Central 1. There is also like Western zone and different other zones which you can explore by searching in the internet itself. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to press enter. So once this zone is set, now what we are going to do is that we are going to create the clusters inside this Kubernetes. Remember, Kubernetes are basically, it helps the model to be more scalable. It extends the scalability of a specific machine learning pipeline. So for that, we will try to write a command, and now we will be creating a container. We'll basically create clusters. Now for that, what I'm going to do is that, guys, I'm just going to again copy and paste one command. So here we have gcloud container clusters create insurance dash cluster. So this is basically my cluster name, and the number of nodes that I basically want is 2. But here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it as 1. Remember, guys, once you do the deployments, once you do everything, just disable everything, otherwise there will be charges that will be incurring. Yes, it is fine till you are using the $300 free credits, but after some time it is better that you shut that down. You also have to give your credit card, so it is, please make sure that you shut down the application once you use this. So I'm just going to make this clusters. While making these clusters, guys, you can see that over here, right now we don't see any clusters, but after this gets executed, the clusters will get created, guys. So, and probably this will take a little bit of time. You can see that I'm fast forwarding some of the clips where all this kind of installation will be taking place. So here also I'm just going to fast forward a little bit of time. Okay, guys, the cluster has been created. Now the next step is basically to, first of all, I'll clear the screen, and after that I'll just also verify it from here. You can see that my clusters has been created over here, right? Now the next step is basically to deploy the application. I'll just go over here, guys. Our next step is to deploy and manage the application on GKE clusters. You must communicate with Kubernetes clusters management system. Execute the following command to deploy the application. Let me discuss first about the command. It says kubectl. We basically say it as kubectl create deployment insurance app, and then I'm just going to give my image path where this particular app, image is actually present. So I'm just going to copy this and go back to my command prompt over here, or I can also share my shell cloud share. Then I'm going to execute it, and now the deployment has actually started. So the deployment is taking place, guys, and it will probably take some amount of time again. No, it does not. So yes, it is done. Now the next step is that, guys, once the deployment is done, what we do is that we have to expose our application to the internet. So in the step 8, basically, we need to expose your application to the internet. By default, the containers that you run on GKE basically means Google Kubernetes Engine, are not accessible from the internet because they do not have external IP address. Execute the following code to expose the application to the internet. Okay. So what we are doing over here, we are just saying that from port 80, the target port is 8080. Why I have selected 8080? Because just go into our deployment section. Go to our file. Here in the Docker file also, we are actually exposing 8080. Okay. So here you can see that, guys, we are exposing 8080. So make sure that that particular command that you're writing, you give the target port as 8080. Okay. If you have something else, different port, I'm not sure whether that port is accessible or not, but make sure that you provide 8080. So I'm just going to execute this. And once the deployment actually happens, now you can see that service or insurance app is exposed. This will probably take some time, guys. How we can see? You can see over here, I'm just going to type one command, which is called as kubectl get services. If I execute this, you'll be able to see that the insurance app, this is basically my application. The load balancer, the type is load balancer. The external IP is pending. That basically means this executed command is still taking some time to get exposed. Okay. Again, I will check after some time. You can see over here, still the external IP is pending. I'm just going to clear the screen quickly. And again, once more, execute the same command. Probably it will still take some time. Let's see how much time it may take. But this external IP, we can actually use it. Okay. We can use it to access the application. Understand, we have gone step by step. Okay. This was the final step where we need to expose, to a specific IP based on the Docker IP that we have actually provided. So again, let me just write it down. Yes. Now you can see there's an external IP. Now, if you really want to check this external IP, you can see that it is getting executed perfectly. Now you can provide your age, your different categories, suppose I'm just providing some values, and once I predict it, you can see that this is the value that will be the accepted bill value, okay, with respect to the insurance bill. That is what we are doing over here, right? We are submitting it. Now, other way is that you can also write curl. You can also check it from here by putting a curl command and giving onto this particular IP. So which I'm copying it over here and pasting it over here. And once I execute it, you'll be able to see the successful response that you're getting of the home page, right? So yes, this was in short. Again, let me just revise all the steps that we had actually followed by seeing this vlog. Again, guys, thank you to Moiz Ali, and he really wanted to share with the entire data science community. So the first step, once the application is built, I'm not just going to go through the application because I've uploaded a lot of videos. We understood about Google Kubernetes, okay, and the Google Kubernetes engine. So the first step, what we did is that we cloned through the git clone. Then we set up the environment variable. Then we build the Docker image by using this command. And gcr.io is basically my Google Container Repository. This is the path where my image is actually present. And this is basically my tag name, v1. After this, I am just writing Docker images to see all the images itself. We need to configure the Docker. That this is specifically for the Google Container Repository. Then we are actually pushing our image to GCR. Okay. Then it is not Google Container Repository. Instead, it is registry. Okay. Then we are setting our project ID and compute zone. Then after that, you can see that we are creating the clusters. Make sure that you provide one, guys. Don't provide two. You'll be getting some kind of error in the free version. Then once you do that, you just deploy the application into the GCR. Okay. Sorry, not into the GCR, into the GKE cluster, that is Google Kubernetes Engine cluster, where you have actually created it. Then finally, you have to expose the application. Please make sure that you see the Docker file in order to do that. And finally, when you see get services, you'll be able to see your external IP. And once click on the external IP, you'll be able to see the web page that is coming. So this in short was all the steps that we had actually followed. And finally, we were able to get this. Again, just try it by yourself and try to see that whether you're able to do it or not. So yes, guys, this was all about this particular video. I hope you like it. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a great day. Thank you, one and all. Bye-bye.